The painting depicts a peasant family, 3 women and 2 men, in a simple, dark room. Its yellowish glow illuminates the steaming potatoes, simple cups without handles, and the rough faces of the people. The scene appears simple and poor. The meal consists only of potatoes and coffee. None of the figures seek eye contact with the viewer, and they also seem surprisingly distant from each other. The young woman with the white bonnet looks questioningly at the person sitting next to her, but he stares into space. A man holds out his cup for a refill, but the older woman next to him does not notice him, so engrossed is she in her own activities. The figure in the foreground, probably a girl, has her back to the viewer. She appears almost ghostly in the semi-darkness, her head slightly bowed. Although the figures are sitting close together, they seem strangely isolated, an impression that lends the scene a certain heaviness. The rest of the room almost disappears in the darkness, only a few details are recognizable. The furnishings are simple: a wooden chair, a clock on the left wall, a picture, and perhaps a crucifix. A solid wooden beam pushes itself between 2 figures, reinforcing the impression of separation. The composition. The clear and simple arrangement is striking. The figures sit around the table at similar distances from each other, almost symmetrically, man, woman, with a central figure in the foreground. This creates 2 pairs of figures, one older and one younger. The dark figure in the middle, through which the central axis also runs, is the only element of tension. If you imagine it away, what remains is an almost boringly balanced picture. The composition is structured both vertically, by the central axis, and horizontally, roughly along the height of the heads. Because of this austerity, art historians often describe it as naive. The calm and uniformity are further reinforced by the dominant vertical lines, while the few diagonals, such as at the table, are hardly noticeable. Light and color. Tension is created primarily by the light. It frames the group, highlights faces and hands, emphasizes the potatoes and the steaming cups, while the background sinks into darkness. The light-dark contrast gives the figures plasticity and liveliness. Even the figure with her back to the viewer seems to be surrounded by a slight halo. The color palette is greatly reduced, brown and green tones dominate, along with the yellow of the lamplight. What appears to be white, such as the young woman's bonnet, is actually a dark gray that only appears light due to the contrast. Van Gogh applies the paint thickly, with visible brushstrokes. The coarse, angular faces appear almost awkwardly proportioned, but that was precisely his intention. He wanted to show the harsh life of the peasants, not an idealized image. The heads are painted in the color of good, dusty potatoes, unpeeled, of course, he wrote to his brother Theo. In doing so, he made it clear that these people had earned their food through hard work. Expression and intention. Van Gogh deliberately eschewed academic perfection. Instead of a beautiful representation, he wanted to show the farmers' attitude to life, their hard, deprived existence. In a letter, he emphasized that he wanted to learn to make inaccuracies, deviations that were truer than the literal truth. With regard to color, too, he spoke of the infinite variety of tones in a color family, which was more important than naturalistic imitation. For him, an honest picture of a farmer was rough, angular and unattractive. A farmer in his Sunday best would have been a lie to him. The Potato Eaters is not a decorative work, but an expression of social painting, a commitment to the simple class and their hard life. Artistic references. Van Gogh admired Millet and Michelangelo, artists who went deeper than mere representation. He was also inspired by the Belgian painter de Groot and the Dutch artist Joseph Israels. But while Israel's peasants often appear idyllic, Van Gogh shows their isolation and hardship. Some interpretations also see Christian symbolism, the table as an altar, the lamp as a mystical light, the meal as a sacrament. The clock and crucifix on the wall refer to transience. Reception. Van Gogh himself considered The Potato Eaters to be his masterpiece at the time and hoped for recognition in Paris. But critics found the figures too wooden and the colors too dark. His friend Anthony van Rappaard was so negative in his comments that Van Gogh ended the friendship. Nevertheless, he remained convinced that the real truth lay in the roughness. Creation. In December 1883, Van Gogh moved back to his parents' home in Noonan for financial reasons, where he remained until November 1885. About 6 months before his departure, he painted The Potato Eaters, a kind of summary of his work in Noonan. After painting weavers, he turned his attention to farmers. In Noonan, he found numerous models, spent time with them in the fields, and drew heads and hands in countless studies, over 50 during this period alone. He worked particularly closely with the de Groot family, who are also depicted in The Potato Eaters. In May 1885, he finally completed the large-format painting, 82 × 114 centimeters, Van Gogh's first depiction of a group of figures. Today it hangs in the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam.